So welcome, everybody. I'm going to just do the introduction again because some people missed it earlier. We're on this call because we are creating opportunities for South Africans to be introduced to inspirational organizations and the people who lead them. And this afternoon, we're going to be listening in on conversations between members of the National Mentorship Movement organization. And we have with us Dave Wilson, who's the Chief Executive. We have the Chair of the National Mentorship Movement, Maurice Radebe. And then we have a whole bunch of other people who are here this afternoon to share with you what they're up to and to introduce the organization to you. Before we go to Dave Wilson, though, I want to hear whether anybody, maybe we'll hear from 2 or 3 people, just anything that you heard in that breakout room that you want to share with other people. And just to create a space if anybody wanted to say something. If there isn't anybody who want to say something, we will go straight into the conversation, but we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to say something if you want to.
For me, it was a shared passion for the youth of South Africa and a desire to give them the opportunities that they deserve to be successful.
Thank you, Dave. That's always great to hear that there's this shared interest and shared commitment. Anybody else want to say something about what you heard in the breakout room? If not, we will go straight over to Dave, and Dave is going to be talking about why mentorship. I'm sure that's not something that that you're going to spend with this group of people, that you're going to have to spend too much time convincing us, Dave. But we want to understand your reason for being, and then we'd love to know a little bit more about the National Mentorship Movement. So over to Dave, and what I will do is I will just spotlight Dave. So if you if your system is set up that you can see this, that you have the speaker view or you see the spotlight, then you will see Dave on your screen now. Dave, over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. And my job today is to get out of the way as soon as possible, because I've asked Maurice Radebe as our chairman to interview a couple of the clients that we work with, and Nkateko Khoza, who's one of our board members, to interview some of the mentors and mentees on some of our programs. But what I thought I should do up front is at least give you a bit of a sense as to why are we so passionate about mentorship, a little bit about the National Mentorship Movement, how we operate and who we operate with and what we've achieved so far, and then to hand over to Maurice to take it further. I'm going to share a couple of slides, so with your permission. Louise, if you could let me. And you're on mute.
You should now be able to share the slides, Dave.
Okay, thank you. I always find this struggle to find.
Yeah, the slides are on your screen, and then the moment you say share.
Okay. Right. You got them there?
We can see them, Dave. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So just briefly, why mentorship? And why it's so important to us, and that is the fact that there's nothing wrong with ordinary South Africans. In fact, I always say there's nothing ordinary about ordinary South Africans to be able to survive in the society that we live in. But many of them simply haven't had the mentorship, the guidance, the role models to be successful. And we believe that mentorship can bridge that gap fundamentally by providing those people with support. And in our experience so far, there's no shortage of people who could benefit. And if I always say, people who have the courage to take on the advantage of having a mentor, nor is there any shortage of people with the generosity to give of what they have to volunteer as mentors, our program being very much a volunteer model. And we think mentorship is a missing ingredient or a missing catalyst in South African society. And all the international research shows that mentorship can double the chances of success for an individual. And we're so convinced of that, we've adopted the slogan, mentorship, the power of two. The power of two being arithmetically that it doubles the chances that you will, for example, go to university or pass university. It doubles the likelihood that you, if you're in business, that you will survive in business longer than 5 years or grow your business or employ more people. So that is why mentorship is what we've adopted as our unique niche, if you like, in this ecosystem. And it's very much a niche. We're not there to be, we've always said, we're out for glory, just not our own. We're there to help other organizations be successful by taking over the role of mobilizing mentors and injecting into other programs. And as you'll see from our definition of mentorship is very much not the old style hierarchical top-down mentorship, much more one, as we talk the key words, the mutually agreed goals, reciprocal sharing of knowledge, experience, and wisdom. And that for us is what mentorship really is about. It's a relationship of trust between two people excited to work together and to learn from one another. So that's why mentorship is and the rest. And just a little bit about our origins. A colleague of mine, Paul Bacher, organized a symposium way back in 2015. And we were given a mandate to introduce mentorship at scale, support entrepreneurs across the nation to create jobs and employment and greater social cohesion. And we've been really fortunate over the years to have some very inspirational people involved, including Maurice, whom I have enormous respect for as my chairman, but also as a long-standing client in my old days. Paul, who shared all his knowledge about setting up a program like this. Hadi Blesher, who's a legend in the social space. Kateko, who's one of our board members you'll hear from later. Bonang Mahale, I'm sure most people are aware of. Brett Morris from FCB, the advertising agency. Hudon Novik, again, a legend of South African entrepreneurship. And Sandile Zungu at that stage of the Black Business Council. So we had some really amazing people involved, and we've been operating since 2016 as an NPC and a Section 18A PVO. And just briefly then, our model. There are 3 components to the model. First of all, and they all begin with P, so I can remember them. First one's a platform, and that's the platform on which participants register, where we provide them with onboarding information, on which we match them to one another, and through which we then manage their relationships. Because many mentorship relationships start off with the best of intentions, but life happens, and a lot of our work is to ensure that we are in continual contact with the mentors and the mentees, ensuring that the relationships are working, that knowledge is flowing, and intervening if there are any issues. So platform is really vital to be able to do at scale what we do. The second thing is partners. We recognize very early on, we don't want to be off there on our own. Once again, another polarized part of the community, isolated in our own silo. We embrace partnership. We love working with partners of all types. They're partners whose beneficiaries could benefit from mentorship support. We work with many people like the Kulisas and Infinite Families and Fix Forwards and SES Trusts and so on. But also organizations who can assist us to mobilize mentors, people like IQ Business, Deloitte, Standard Bank, etc. And lots of social NGO and educational partners. One I'm really very proud to be associated with is, of course, Symphonia and Partners for Possibility, having been a partner myself, Louise, and I've always been inspired by the work that you do, and other NGO and educational partners. So partnership is a vital part of what we do. And the third one is that we work in programs. You could have a broad-based mentorship program for the nation, and in future we'd love to do that. But in our experience, it's much easier to work with a group of partners in a specific situation with particular outcomes and goals, with a particular type of mentor that needs support. And those are programs that we tailor, and you'll see in a second when I talk about them, you can see that we tailor our programs very much to the situation facing the beneficiaries and partners. And as you can see some of them on the screen, those are our current programs. And the main beneficiaries are entrepreneurs, employees of various types, students and unemployed youth. The vast majority of our programs involve entrepreneurs. Many of them are mixed, as you can see. And we've become, as I was mentioning on the breakout, we've discovered, particularly for young people, that group mentorship is more powerful or more appropriate than one-on-one, because it enables them to harness their own energy, their own ideas, give them a sense of solidarity, hold one another accountable. Whereas many other programs, a one-on-one program for somebody who's never really been in that sort of relationship before, can be extremely intimidating. We learned that on our Da Vinci program, which is the last one I've mentioned there, where we're working with unemployed youth who are going on a new venture creation program. We started the program with the best of intentions with a one-on-one relationship. We had about 220 people on that program. We had about a 70% success rate. We changed to a group mentorship program, a 98% referral rate. We would recommend the program. So as you can see, we work with Standard Bank, TIA, Technology Innovation Agency. You'll hear from Lucy, our client there, a bit later. CDI Capital, Pernod Ricard, and these are all programs addressing entrepreneurs of various types, various levels of sophistication. Probably Pernod Ricard is a very interesting program in Alex, where we're working with a small group of relatively, these are people who are hustling through Alex, and it's been a huge growth for the Pernod Ricard executives who are supporting them. CDI Capital, working with conventional entrepreneurs. TIA have got high potential technology based entrepreneurs and working with them. We've also got a couple of industry programs, like in the printing industry with the group and a one-on-one component, and with TBCSA, which you will hear from Maylene a bit later, who is our client there. Sanlam and Old Mutual, interesting because on the Sanlam program, we ran an internal mentorship program for them, and the mentees on that program mentored entrepreneurs outside, which was a huge benefit for both the organization, for Sanlam, but also for the mentees, who were able to practice the mentorship that they'd learned in the program in practice with entrepreneurs outside of the organization. Old Mutual, we did a very interesting program with students, a group mentorship program with students in Cape Town who were facing an internship which they were totally unprepared for. And we did an intensive 5-week program with them to prepare them for that world of internship. And from, I think 3 of them said they were ready, to all 8 of them on the program, and that particular program were ready. We're also doing a program with the Black Management Forum with Old Mutual to support their members. And then Mancosa, another one, which is now with, as you can see, 105 students, and you'll hear from Soraya later. We're very excited about this group mentorship program for third-year students at Mancosa, but don't let me tell you about it. Let Soraya tell you about it in a minute. So those are the current programs. Right now, we have over 1,000 volunteer mentors on our platform. And those are genuine volunteer mentors. In other words, they're not just names and people being there. We manage that database pretty carefully to make sure we don't carry people who are not there. To our knowledge, that's the biggest database, if you like, of volunteer mentors in the country and possibly on the continent. We're currently mentoring about 730 people, and we have mentored over 1,500 since we started. And we're particularly proud of the fact that all our surveys, we get over 90% of our participants recommend the program. On that Da Vinci program, I mentioned 98% of the participants in this group mentorship program would recommend the program. So Louise, that's a brief introduction to why mentorship from our side and a bit about NMM. Over to you as our facilitator for the afternoon.
Thank you, David. What we haven't agreed on, you and I, and maybe you can stop the sharing so that we can see each other's faces, is just You are excited about having Maurice with us this afternoon, and I think you should introduce your chairman to us, so that all these other people can find out who this wonderful man is. And he's one of the inspirational South Africans that people came to discover more about this afternoon. So over to you to just introduce Maurice.
One thing I can guarantee you, I'll do a better job of this than Maurice. Maurice,
clearly.
Yeah. Maurice is a legend in South African business. No, come on, you are. A physicist by training, you started off in the social space, you then ended up at Shell, spotted early as a talent, ended up as the head of Excel Petroleum, bought by Excel Petroleum into the Sasol stable. Unusually for a bought-in executive, he then ended up heading Sasol Oil as opposed to being booted out. And then became in 2010, a very auspicious year, joined the group executive of Sasol, responsible for energy globally, and in which role he's done an outstanding job and retired 2 years ago. Despite all of our mentorship advice to Maurice, he put himself forward as the head of the group of the Wits Business School, and he hasn't regretted it for a moment. And so to us, it's an absolute privilege to work with Maurice on a daily basis, with the utmost respect for you as a person and what you're looking to achieve. And thank you so much for being our chairman.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. And so just so that everybody knows what's going to happen now, Maurice has got the amazing opportunity to introduce you all of us, to 3 clients of the National Mentorship Movement. So we're going to hear from 3 people, and they're going to share their stories about being part of this organization and what they've benefited from it and how they feel about National Mentorship Movement. So over to you, Maurice.
Thank you very much, Louise. Thank you very much, Dave, for the kind words. And in fact, I consider you as a person who is a real outstanding and noble person who's given so much to this nation. So thank you very much. I truly appreciate your introduction. Louise, thank you for doing great work in Partners for Possibilities. When I was at Sasol, I was one of the executives that was mentoring a primary school in Tembisa. And it's very good to interact with that principal. And it was just amazing. In fact, I learned more than she learned from me. Just resilience, working under very difficult conditions, with so many challenges, but she was just passionate about it. So well done with Partners for Possibilities, and well done with the new work that you're busy with. Let me move on straight, because I only have 15 minutes, so I've already consumed about 2 or 3 of those minutes. Marlene Broderick, it's great to chat to you. Department of Tourism, as we know, this pandemic has devastated the tourism and hospitality industry, and you must be breathing a sigh of relief now with the fact that we don't have to wear the mask and all the restrictions that have been. Maybe you just want to chat a little bit about that before we go deep into our discussions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adebi. I think, when Dave asked me if I would be able to join the session this afternoon, and he mentioned the likes of yourself, Louise, and then, when I saw now Ms. Koza, I was like, wow, I'm in South African royalty here. So it's a privilege for me to be here. I'm a public servant. If everybody doesn't mind, I am actually on leave at the moment, and so where I am, the signal is really poor, and we have load shedding. So I hope you can hear me, and if it's okay with you, Mr. to speak, if I can just turn off my camera, I think that might just help things a bit in the event that signal is poor.
Oh, we can hear you very well.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll continue until such time signal is bad. So yeah, from our perspective, as you know, the pandemic shook the whole world, but I think tourism was and hospitality, which is under our portfolio, was disproportionately adversely impacted by the pandemic. And we all were just, what do we do? Brought us much closer together with our sector, the private sector and the public sector. For a while now, we've not been working very closely together, and this pandemic made us do that, and hence this particular partnership. And you saw Dave put up there the TBCSA, which is the Tourism Business Council of South Africa. Those are all our private sector member associations, and we worked very closely with them on this particular project.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm very hopeful that this industry is going to recover very soon. So the real question is about mentorship. Why mentorship in your view?
Well, I was designated by our Director General to attend the preparation sessions at NEDLAC for the inaugural Job Summit, if you remember, in 2018-19, when we'd never had one before. And we were sitting there having presentations. It was private sector, public sector, and of course, social partners. These guys walked in and started to tell us a little bit about the NMM, as I've now fondly come to know them. And I turned to my colleague who was next to me from the TBCSA, and I said, this is it. This is exactly what we need. And this was pre-pandemic. Our National Tourism Sector Strategy, which is our 20-year plan, calls for a national mentorship program. But we'd never really, thought it through. And when Dave and his team presented it, I was just like, this is it. We have to go this route. We have to try this. And this was even pre-pandemic. But as you know, government, the wheels turn, molasses is speedy. You're a physicist, we're slower than molasses at making decisions sometimes. And in the middle of a pandemic, that didn't really help us a lot. But suffice to say, we then engaged Dave and his team in 2018-19, and they very patiently allowed the wheels to turn for us to get into a partnership. So we entered into a pilot with the National Mentorship Movement and Tourism Business Council of South Africa, TBCSA, and our role was to actually pick the mentees. And the key groups that we looked at was SMMEs. I'm responsible for enterprise development, particularly rural and township SMMEs, who were really severely impacted. Because even though domestic tourism kicked in under level 3, our township tourism and our rural tourism predominantly inbound tourists or international tourists. So they were particularly hard hit. Come 2021, that partnership was eventually solidified. And we then started with the SMMEs from these, what we call hidden gems, because what we want to do is show South Africa the hidden gems of South Africa in our rural and township areas. So those SMMEs, and also women in tourism. We also have an executive development program for women, because if you look, I'm also responsible for the tourism sector codes. And when we went to industry and said, there aren't women at your decision-making tables, there aren't women of color at your decision-making tables. They said, well, we can't find them. So we said, okay, great. So we partnered with an academic institution and developed a number of women and took them through an executive development program. And they started to rise through their organizations, but they had the academic content, but not, somebody to walk them through moving from a front desk clerk to a general manager all of a sudden, or from a general manager to a group manager. So we chose those two target groups because we felt the SMMEs needed to be walked through this journey of a guidance. How do I commandeer this crisis, which I've never had to deal with before? Their confidence was absolutely shot, So, in summary for us, the mentorship program was very successful for our mentees who came from us and our mentors who came from our private sector, which is the TBCSA. And both sets were taken through training. And then their mentorship journeys began, and it was launched by our Deputy Minister, Fish Matlahlela and Gideon Novak, who just gave them inspirational stories of sticking to what they believed in. And key successes that came out of it for us, Maurice, was we saw our mentees and our mentors grow. We saw, they pivoted in their business models and had the confidence to do things they wouldn't have necessarily had the confidence to do, because they could, draw from this fountain of experience in terms of the mentees. But for me, the biggest takeaway was the social cohesion that we saw. People who paths would ordinarily have never crossed, suddenly were South Africans trying to save the tourism industry. And they joined hands irrespective of race, gender, age. And we were able to keep a lot of our businesses afloat as a result of having these mentors, mentees connected. So for me, the biggest win was social cohesion for our sector. So yeah, we were delighted, and the pilot's very successful. And now we are looking at, so Dave, Roz, and team, bear with me, we will get from pilot to a national mentorship rollout program soon.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful story. I think Lucy can join me in this conversation, because you've already mentioned Lucy Muteka, who's also working with you on the tourism side. Also, Lucy, fortunately I had a good chance to chat with you during the breakaway. Tell us, what does mentorship mean for TIA, and what does national mentorship movement in particular help you in that regard? Go ahead, Lucy. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Very well.
Is that better? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Babukhatewe, and thank you to Dave and to Marlene as well. So how TIA takes mentorship, I think it is a very key strategic component of what TIA's commitment is. As I've shared very briefly, TIA supports innovation. We support innovators and entrepreneurs to make their ideas that they come up with, that they look forward to putting out into the market, which is a very key strategic goal in one of the national strategic objectives, to make sure that we change the lives of ordinary South Africans. So our role is to make sure that they are being supported to be able to make those ideas come to reality. And mentorship is a strategic component, as I've said, for TIA in supporting these innovators. And the reason why they need to be supported, we obviously bring in innovators that have not been in business before, or innovators that just have ideas that might be groundbreaking, that might cause disruption in the markets, that are really needed to boost this economy, and that might make a very big impact in social lives of ordinary South Africans. So TIA plays a role in that very risky gap, where we fund innovation to be able to make sure that it is developed and it is realized and it is de-risked to a point where it can be then funded to go into the market. And also, as Dave also has mentioned, I think earlier, that with startups, it's very difficult to navigate to get to a point where you access the market. So the most important part is for us to ensure that we handhold these innovators up to a point where they can access the market. Now, what is important in that environment, it is, as you know, it is what we call a VUCA environment. It's very volatile, it's very uncertain, it's complex, and it's very ambiguous. And also new products have got to get into the market at a very high speed, otherwise it becomes redundant. So hence the mentorship is so key for our innovators, to make sure that they can tap into the pool of experts and specialists that would be able to walk with them that journey that they have experienced themselves, that they've gained knowledge in, and be able to support them in order to get into the market as quickly as they can. And how we fit in with the national mentorship movement. So I run, one of the programs that I run, that I manage, is a business model acceleration program with the UK government. And we are the delivery partner in South Africa. And it's funded, it's a bilateral agreement between the DSI and the UK government. So TIA is the implementing partner in South Africa, and the Royal Academy of Engineering, the implementing partner in the UK. So we met with Dave at one of our in-country sessions when the UK sent all their mentors out, a couple of their mentors out into South Africa to come and mentor and see the progress of the innovators that they have trained in the past years. To date, they've trained 7 cohorts. So since 2014, they've been funding that program together with TIA, making sure that the research of the innovations of researchers gets into the market. So we met there and we had a long conversation with Dave and because I have such a passion on mentorship and on coaching. I was like, yeah, I need to connect with you. So that's how we actually connected with the National Mentorship Movement. So we have a program again that I also manage, that is a clean tech innovation program, which is funded by UNIDO. So when they nominated Tia again to be the delivery partner in South Africa, and I was put in charge to caretake that program as well, I was like, this is the right time. We're only going to do it if we have a proper platform where we're going to make sure that we formalize the mentorship program. So hence we then outsourced the National Mentorship Movement to come on board and set up the platform for us. And we are really having a great time. And we have onboarded 25 innovators. 15 of those, I think, Marlene, 15 of those are from the tourism sector. And they're having great experience learning from the experts and some specialists within the industries, within various industries, supporting them to take their innovations forward.
Thank you very much, Lucy. That's very encouraging to see what's happening in the mentorship space. We've been talking about entrepreneurs, both Marlene and you. Let's hear about the students. Whether they do need a mentorship and how does National Mentorship Movement help the students in Mankosa University. So Soraya, give us your thoughts around that one.
Thank you so much, Maurice, for giving me this platform, and Dave especially for allowing me onto this platform. So quick about Menkosa Aries Management College of South Africa. We are part or a member of the Pan-African Honoris United Universities. Our vision is basically to educate for the world for impact, for accessibility, affordability, and credibility and credible. So having said that, and me being on my own journey on mentorship and coaching in my life, and formidable journey where I talk about, yes, the comeback, and being an academic and a facilitator myself, I saw the need, and we as Menkosa have heard our students, because we are student-centered distance education center. And during COVID, we realized that there was a huge gap because we distance, we were blended. So we had online and so it was blended, you know, online, synchronous, asynchronous, for all those that don't understand the lingo. So we online and then we have face-to-face. And now in that second, we just had to pivot within 3 weeks, and it was a catalyst to go fully online. And I saw the gap in many students. I mean, well, I think God has a way, and they pivoted quite well. But yes, you do see the gap. And the gap is that to balance that work life, and people struggle, you know, people lost jobs, and we don't just have school students that come onto our programs and we have people from the government and of all ages, you know, striving to get an education. So this is where we listened, we heard, and we realized that, hey, yes, NMM, I was the chosen academic. So I met Roz and Dave when at the first station. I had no clue what this was about. I just know it was NMM, mentorship. I had the privilege of meeting them, and we're on this journey together. It is in progress. A really formidable team, and mentorship is about learning, and it's about growing and evolving and transforming. And I saw this, the students were given this investment, you know, because Menkosa has funded this. So this is a gift to our students, where we looked at third year undergraduate students, and to pivot them from there to say, hey, this is not where the journey ends. This is where you begin, you know, to go higher into your postgrad and to continue evolve into your master's and your doctorate programs. But it's about that emotional intelligence, which I think most institutions forget, and we look at just content. And NMM is here to provide that gap. And what I love about the group is, like Ross said, you know, it's about connecting people and connecting the dots and collaboration. And it's about giving them that competitive advantage to understand that we're not here just to provide the content. We're here to give you that edge, to make you wholesome, you know, to bring the emotional, the physical, the emotion, the spiritual component back, and to know how you're going to go up that ladder one by one. So we basically hold your hand, but at the same time, from codependency, we make you independent. And NMM is, yeah, we're going through this process. I'm loving every moment. And I think the mentors and mentees, from the feedback we have got, quite happy. And I hope to see that this partnership and collaboration will definitely increase and will be effective. So yes, Maurice, there is, and you know, like Maya Angelou said, it's so eloquently, it's not what people won't remember what you did for them, but they will remember how you made them feel. And I think that is significant. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Soraya. Thank you very much, Lucy. Thank you very much, Malene, for sharing your thoughts around mentorship. I can only agree with you. I am, because I have been going, I've been helped by mentors. One of them is, that's why I call Nkateko my sister, and Royal Koza has been my mentor for many, many years. So thank you. Luis, back to you.
Thank you, Maurice. I'm on my phone now. Load shedding has now got me as well, so I hope you can hear me. Yep. Thank you so much, Maurice. It was wonderful to see you hold this space with so much generosity. And I'm going to ask Dave to help us with spotlighting, because I'm struggling to do that on my phone. And we're going to hand straight over. So yeah, just big appreciation for Maurice and Malene and Lucy and Soraya. I was hanging off your every word, just thoroughly enjoying the stories. Nkateko is, I also think of Nkateko as a sister, and Royal as a kind of adopted father who I've recently kind of got to know a little bit better. So wonderful to have Nkateko here. And Nkateko is going to be interviewing 4 of the mentors and mentees who've been involved in the program. So Nkateko, we're going to hand over to you, and hopefully, Dave, you will help us with spotlighting so that we have Nkateko and the mentors and mentees spotlit. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Louise. I'm not sure if the spotlighting is working. Dave, are you winning? Okay, I think I'll just can everybody? We can
see Nkateko, so it's all good.
See me. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Louise and my brother Maurice. So I'm very fortunate in that both my sister and my brother also serve a mentorship and a guidance role in my life, and I've been very, very fortunate in that this has been happening in my life since my very first job. You know, I'm pleased that, you know, from when I started as a graduate trainee, I've had 4 female mentors that have just basically transformed my life. So for me, mentorship is really a journey of transformation. And it's a journey that says, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's see what we can do better. And I think for anyone who's trying to grow their career and go somewhere with their lives, a family friend of ours spoke recently about a personal board of directors. And I think that's what everybody needs to have. And in my board of directors, I certainly have a coach, a sponsor, a mentor, a counselor, a champion, a prayer warrior. So I'm hoping that everyone that's logged in today has a mentor or is a mentee, which would be absolutely amazing. With that, I'd like to just turn the conversation on its head. I'm sure everyone would love to hear from the mentors first. I say we speak to the mentees first and say to our mentees, tell us more about what mentorship means to you. I would like to start with Refilwe from tourism. So really taking it from the conversation that we've just had now from Malene, I think that it's a very nice link in for us. Refilwe, are you on? Can you share with us what mentorship means to you and how you benefited from it?
Thank you so much, Nkateko. What mentorship means for me. Let's see. I remember at our last conversation when we were having our last session with Dave and the team, I said that I wish I had a mentor at the beginning stage of my business, when I first started my business. But fortunately for me, I won't say unfortunate for me, I'm gonna say fortunately for me, I got in contact with national mentorship movement, who assigned a mentor by the name of Tepo Matlo. And I learned so much from him. It was 5 years later, because I started my business in 2015. I don't regret not starting at a later stage, because I learn every day. I remember when I first started my business, every month or every day, I get to learn something new from somebody else out there. So we never stop learning as individuals, especially as small businesses. And I remember I was also telling people that I know Maylene mentioned something about the Hidden Gems. It's one of the programs that South African tourism has. And we had the opportunity to apply to go to Africa Travel Indaba via this program. And I think when I started my business, I went with them. And then for this year, I was like, no, I'm not an SMME anymore. It's time that I say that I have grown. Can I admit that I have grown? And once now I tell myself that I have grown, it means from here it's skyrocketing. And because I'm instilling the seed in my, in my thoughts and in everything that I do. So what I can say that I have received from National Mentorship Movement is, I'm very happy to have been one of the mentees, and I can gladly say that I'm ready to mentor other people, to be a mentor, because I learned so much, and it's time for me to grow, and I'm receiving it, and I want to grow. Because I remember with my mentor, he said that when we first started, he was like, I want to know what is your vision and your mission. And I was like, I don't know what my vision and mission is. Then he's like, how did you start a business when you don't know your vision and your mission? And then I was like, those things are somewhere there on my documents. He says, fetch them. I want to hear them. Then I was reading it. I don't even know what I wrote there 5 years ago. It's 7 years now, actually, because I started in 2015. So I read it to him. And then he's like, you see, this thing doesn't even have meaning to you, because you just put it there because you were told that this is something that you should do when you start a business. So he said, you must live every day by the vision of your company or your business, and you must make sure that you reach or your dreams, your goals, or your mission. You live by it every day. And then since then, I drafted a new vision and mission. Until this day, I'm growing, and I'm referring to them in whatever that I do. I'm proud now to say that when I started, apologies about that, when I started with the team, I was only a tour operator. But now I'm proud to call myself, I'm a tour operator. I have a campsite in Mafikeng. I have 20 tents for camping that we have acquired. And I've also gone in the beauty industry, which I have incorporated with tourism, in a sense that the beauty products that we have, we've got small amenities that we sell to guest houses. So it's beauty now working together in tourism. So in that way, I can say that I have grown so much. And when I started to jot down my goals, I'm sure I said that I want to achieve these goals by 2024 or something like that. And by the end of 2021, in this program, already I was on the roll. And I'm so happy. I don't regret my decision, and I can always recommend anybody, any SMME out there, to actually join the programs. Thanks.
Wow, Refule, just listening to you is very, very exciting. So glad to hear about your growth story and confidence, not only in yourself, but in your business, and the fact that you're actually now thriving and you're implementing what yourself and your mentor have agreed on. I think now we'll move to Nati Lena from Mentor SA, just to share Nati's experience as well as a mentee. Nati, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Fantastic. Please go ahead.
Oh, hi, my name is Nati Lena. I own a printing and branding business in Port Elizabeth. I joined the National Mentorship Movement June 2021. The experience has been very overwhelming, in the sense that I saw so much growth in myself as an individual, in my business, and my personal life as a mother and as a wife. I was linked up on the platform with Ms. Alida Breed, who resides in Pretoria. In this journey, I learned a lot, and I have received a lot. I was a mentee. I had just recently closed the doors to my business in April 2020, and I started operating from home. So basically, that would be just shutting down your business. But the mentorship program came in at the right time because I was lost as where to take my business, where to go, what to do. And we basically went to the drawing board. We had set goals for what I wanted to achieve in the 12 months of this program, personally and business-wise. So I'm here now at the mall, in Pier 14 Mall. That's one of the goals that I achieved because it was hard to get a sense of direction of where to go, where you have no income, you have no clients, you have nothing basically to go on. But Alida and I, we went to the root of the problem, the marketing. What are you going to do now that you are far from your clients? I was in the CBD, the heart of PE, and I moved to the western suburbs. So I had to come with a strategy of earning an income again and being truthful to myself that, am I doing the job? Am I doing what I need to do to get my business back out there, you know? So accountability is something that I take away from the program, you know. I don't blame anyone for my situation, you know. The future of my business depends on me. The results that I got, can anyone hear me? Because my connection.
Mm-hmm. We can.
We hear you very well. Oh, please carry on, Nati.
Okay. So I had to take accountability of my situation, accept it, and do something about it, you know. And the growing as an entrepreneur, as a mother, I've seen wonderful results being part of this program. I have learned to be resilient. I have learned to be patient. I have learned to deal with problems differently since meeting Alida, you know, because, you know, as a young entrepreneur, my business is very young. My business started in 2015. So I had a lot of trials and tribulations, teething problems, managing staff, delegating. So she taught me that I need to pull myself towards myself, know who I am first as an individual. Therefore, I will be able to delegate to my staff members, because I had problems with staff who didn't perform. I had problems with staff who were stealing. I had a lot of problems with staff right before I had to let them go before closing our business. So now that my staff members are part-time, working remote, they are working where they are, productivity has increased, the communication has been more clearer. We achieve our goals, I achieve my goals, the delivery, the quality of the products are just on top, you know. Me being here, back to the CBD, because I really didn't know how I was gonna do it, you know, but I did it. I'm here, I have my equipment here. We are just fighting day to day, you know. The economy is not the best, but we show up, you know, we deliver, we show up for ourselves, for the business. So I'm very thankful for the National Mentorship program, because for many entrepreneurs as myself, there was a dark cloud hanging over us. We were almost hopeless, you know, just because we didn't get our what do you call, our UIF, our COVID relief funds. It didn't mean that it's over, and it's not. It's really not, guys, you know. So this program gave me strength. It gave me confidence as a businesswoman to fight through, you know, because if I were to give up, where is the legacy that I wanted to leave for my children, you know? And I came back better, you know. I have a better office space. I've branded my shop, is looking beautiful. The reception from the public is wonderful, you know. So I'm very grateful for the relationships that I've created with my mentor. You know, she's been a life coach, you know, she's been a friend, she's been a mentor, she's been all these things in one package. And I didn't know how important it was to talk to someone, to be vulnerable to someone, and to be truthful with yourself, you know, because that's the most important thing. Because a leader would ask me, so Nati, your day-to-day, what do you do? And I say, no, I write on my diary what I need to do, my to-do list and all of these. And she said to me, and how often do you achieve the things that you write on your diary? And it took me a minute, and I would write a page full of the things that I need to do. And you'd find that I would become so overwhelmed that I would achieve only 2 to 3 things, because it's too much. And I started writing realistic things. I would write 6 things that I need to do for my business, 6 things I need to do for my home. And funny enough, I would achieve all those things because they are important to me, and I was truthful with myself that I will have the time to do these things. So I've learned a lot of strategies to deal with life and to deal with business and moving forward. And I remember I was so embarrassed to take my phone to phone clients or to do a follow-up, because I have little ones running all over the house. They are screaming, the other one is crying, you know. And my mentor said to me, Nati, everyone is working from home, so there's no need for you to be embarrassed about these things. So now I approach life with no fear. I approach life with confidence. I approach obstacles with a mind of solving them instead of running away from it.
Yes.
So this program I recommend to all entrepreneurs, whether you are young, you are old. It's life-changing. You know.
Thank you so much, Nati. Thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have much time. We still have our 2 other speakers, but we love your excitement. But I think from both of you, you both echoing about the renewed confidence and the growth that you gained from becoming mentees. So now we'll move on to our mentors. Thank you so much to our mentees. So turning to our mentors, we will start with Nomisa from Printing SA. Nomisa, over to you, ma'am. Dave, do we have Nomisa, or shall we just move along to Kenele?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry, were you on mute as well? Welcome, Nomisa. Please share with us your journey. Can you hear me now? Yes, we can. We can hear you very well. So if you could share with us what mentorship means to you from the perspective of a mentor, and what you benefit from it, and specifically what you expect from the person that you mentor.
Okay, thank you so much. I think for me, also myself being a product of mentorship and still continuing to have a mentor, I've seen what it has done for me as a person, not only the fact that you have a soundboard, because mentorship, entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey. If I could just share a bit of myself, I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Whenever I speak to relatives, family, some of the things I say might not make sense to them. So sometimes you tend to want to keep it all in. And through mentorship, I found that myself as a mentee, as a mentor, now I'm able to also be that additional support for those mentees in a way that my past mentors were there for me. And what I have gained or continue gaining on this journey as a mentor is not only is it a way of me also giving back of my experiences, just to avoid that mentee going through some of the pitfalls that I went through previously, but also to empower them. I loved how Nati is saying that it's just given her additional confidence. It's just given her additional, if I could call it je ne sais quoi, to just go out there and brave the world, you know. And that is something that we require as entrepreneurs, just something to propel us forward. And obviously sharing of resources, because you never know how many people or what rooms and what information people have access to. And in that way, I'm able to share that with my mentee, and also vice versa. You'd be surprised how much you actually learn about yourself in terms of personal development from your mentee itself. And I've been very lucky to have been partnered up with mentees who are so excited to learn, mentees who even challenge me, and not challenge me in a disrespectful manner, but challenge me in the type of person I am. And also I find myself being stretched sometimes. And in all of this, I feel I'm being refined and polished, even myself as a businesswoman. So I am all for entrepreneurship, and I think I'm like Nati. I can talk another hour, but I know time is of the essence. So for me, the journey has just been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Numisa. That's very, very encouraging to know that this is a beneficial relationship for both parties, that both are learning. And as much as you're sharing, you're also learning, which is, you know, unexpected. Most people think it's a one-way, you know, journey in terms of like sharing. So thank you for sharing it. We're going to move now to our last mentor, that's Kineilwe from tourism. Kineilwe, over to you.
Okay, there we go. I hope you can see me. I can't see myself.
Yeah, we can see you. You look lovely. Thank you. We can see.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Wow, what a journey. I was paired up with Ernest Kumbuzeni, a gentleman based here in Johannesburg. He's a tour operator. And I've learned so much. I don't even know where to start. But I think more than anything, the experience has left me very hungry, because after this experience, I found myself wondering, okay, where to from here? Where else can I get involved? You know, what else can I do? Who else needs this kind of service, like to go into mentorship? Who needs to learn about the tourism sector, etc.? Because I actually work in broadcasting. I work in television, radio, and all of those things, but I'm also very much involved in the tourism sector. So I've done marketing, sales, and whatever, advertising for about 15, I think it's about 15 years now. I just gave away my age, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, that long. And then in 2020, I approached Radio 2000 to say that, guys, you know what? I'm suffocating. I don't know what to do. I proposed a travel feature on David Mashabela's show. They agreed. And then the purpose of this travel feature was to keep the love for travel alive, you know, because I felt like, yo, everybody's at home, we can't leave. And I mean, I traveled a lot. Like, I've done the entire country and I know places, I've done hidden gems. I know what you get on which off-ramp, you know, all those exciting things. But now here I was stuck at home. So I'm like, let's do it on radio. I don't even have to come into studio. You phone me and then we did it on Tuesdays, whatever. So in last year, when I was approached, I think it was through SATA, to say that, would you be interested in volunteering as a mentor? I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to. And initially I was like, you know what? I just want these people to get back on their feet because I have to travel. I need to travel. So I need to help them help me, you know? But then what I realized is that there was just so much, because I knew that what tour guides do, but then there's the behind the scenes stuff that they need to do. So I had to sit down with Ernest and look at creative and also innovative ways to promote his business. Because I mean, if we all selling the same thing and nobody's different, it doesn't help anybody. So you need to stand out. You need to, I mean, from little things like addressing your group of people that you are showing around. Have name tags, for example, you know, so that you can address them by their names instead of saying, no, you the lady with the orange scarf, you the lady with the brown jeans, you know. So at least you can say, hi, Kinane with this, you know. It becomes personal. They feel like, you know, it makes them feel at home. I would feel great as a traveler if people address me by my name instead of saying the lady in like with the orange scarf, you know. So, and another thing, all this really has got me thinking, can we do something like this with tourism students? Because remember, some of them had just started university. They want to study tourism, they're ready to see the world, and then lockdown happened. And it would break my heart if anyone had to maybe change whatever, like from tourism to another course because of lockdown, and they're thinking, maybe I chose something like something that's not worth it. What am I going to do with my tourism qualification? Because I mean, there's lockdown and all of these things. And I'm like, maybe I need to speak to Rosalind and them to say that, guys, have you thought about tourism students, for example, to say that, guys, don't give up. Let's be creative. Let's be innovative. Let's see what is it that you can do. Stay and then see how you can still communicate. Obviously, tourism is personal. You know, you can't do virtual tourism because it's touchy, feely, see, crazy, getting excited and all of those. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Ew, that's rude. Sorry. I thought I put it on mute. I'm so sorry, I just switched it off. Okay, yeah, and then to say that, guys, I mean, you haven't made a mistake. This is an exciting a sector, you know, and not a lot of people study tourism. I didn't study tourism. Tourism found me. It started with just traveling and then realizing that, okay, I've done the entire country and a whole lot of other places. What else can I do? And then I started seeing these women on the side of the road, you know, selling stuff and people wanting discounts and things, and realizing that, you know what, when we travel, let's not go to places and just pose and whatever. Contribute, you know, carry 100 Rand, 50 Rand. As you're traveling, support the locals, find out about their heritage, their culture. Well, that's what I travel for mostly. So I had to impart this information to Ernest as a frequent traveler. And I'm proud to say that after this program, a lot has happened. I write, I'm a travel writer now for Sunday Independent. So I'm a certified travel specialist. And also I think the highlight of all this was when I got an invite from the United Nations World Tourism Organization, all the way from Madrid. from Madrid, yes.
and Spain.
So all the way from there, you know, to asking me to join their committee, where
Yes.
I got to sit with ministers, ambassadors, tourism leaders from around the world, you know, looking at solutions and ways to help resuscitate the tourism industry, not just here at home in South Africa, but in other countries of Africa, as well as globally. So you can imagine my excitement. I'm sitting there, Elsie is talking, and everybody, and some people are speaking French. And then they mentioned that.
Sorry, we may have to cut you.
Okay, just this one last thing, because it's related to national mentorship movement. Yeah, just this one last thing. And then they mentioned that they mentioned stuff about mentorship, and to say that South Africa is doing a pilot project, and yeah, they're gonna be looking to South Africa to share their experience. And I'm like, yes. So I was proud to say that, yes, I was a part of that. And then they said in our next meeting, I think it's taking place in July, then they'll invite, I think, the minister or the deputy to share that entire experience with them. So it's been an exciting journey. It's been beautiful. Thank you so much. Ooh,
thank you, Kinelwe. Oh, that was wonderful. We do want you to carry on for a while, but unfortunately, our time is very limited.
I think everyone who's been on the program wants to, but unfortunately, yeah. So I do understand. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kinelwe. So thank you to our mentors. That was very, very inspirational. And our mentees, as you can see, everybody's on a journey of navigation. That is our mentor and mentee relationship. So for me, it's almost like someone navigating in the dark, where your mentor is your navigator with a torch. So the guy with the torch or the lady with the torch is the one that's leading you, sharing their experiences, and, you know, taking you by the hand, and at some point giving the torch over to you. So I think it's very beneficial. I think we've heard from everybody. We've heard lots of stories about commitment and inspiration. So for me, that's why I'm part of the National Mentorship Program. It's to hear stories like this. And just want to add to everybody that they must remember that mentorship is not industry specific, not gender specific. You can, the first person I mentored under the National Mentorship Movement was a young white guy, and I totally enjoyed that relationship. So we invite you all to join the National Mentorship Movement. We'll put up our website details. Anybody and everybody is welcome to join, either as a mentor or a mentee. And we are excited to be on this platform. Thank you so much, Louise. Thank you, Dave. Thank you to my mentees and mentors. That was too exciting. Thank you.
Nkateko, thank you. It was so lovely to have you in this space. I'm wondering whether we can get Maurice onto the call as well. I'll take myself off, see whether we can get Maurice to also join. As a movement leader myself, I know what it feels like to hear just these kind of stories. So I can't see whether Maurice is on camera at the moment, but so yeah, he is. Let me get him on as well. So for the three of you, you've been shepherding this movement. Dave, you've been there from the beginning. Nkateko, you've been on the board. Maurice, you are the chair. I am bursting with joy on your behalf when I hear these stories. So can you just from your heart, and I'm gonna start with Dave. Dave, I was watching your face from my camera on my phone, but just share with us what happened in your heart when you hear those stories. You just need to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, I often say to our team that it sometimes feels like we are those guys taking a tour party down the Orange River. We're the guys who pack the canoe, make sure the right food's there, put up the tents, light the fire. And every now and then the guests invite us around the fireside to join them on the to chat. This is one of those moments where we were invited to stop coming out from the background and putting everything together and making sure it works, to be part of it. And thank you for that privilege. That's exactly what it felt like. That for a change, we could participate and feel some of that joy ourselves, because it's not easy to get all of this to work, but it's certainly rewarding. And today was my reward. Thank you so much for that.
It was beautiful to watch your face and to just celebrate with you. Maurice, as the chair of this beautiful organization, what went on in your heart when you hear this?
It's just amazing. You know, you just get a warm feeling deep in your soul and in your heart. And you realize that it's worth it. It's worth every minute, every pain, every challenge, every trial and tribulation. It's not an easy job, but it's just worth it when you hear, you know, Nati, Mesa, and Refilwe. It's just amazing. And seeing the talent that is there, I'm very passionate about potential, about unleashing it. And when you see this kind of talent being unleashed, you know, we've got hope for our country, even in the difficult political space we are in. But I think men and women like these young people, I dare say young because I'm a little bit older now, then our future is in the good hands. Thank you very much, Louisa, for this forum. Thank you.
So thank you, Maurice. I really do. So part of this vision for African Leadership Week was to get us around a campfire and have the conversation. And we don't think it's going to happen physically this year in Stellenbosch, but I just want, you know, my sense of after being part of this course, I want to be in rooms with people like the people on this call, all the way from Dave and Maurice and Kateko and these, I mean, these women just blew me away, all their stories. So, and so that's what my hope is that we can inspire you to join our community. I want to say to everybody on the call, we have a WhatsApp group with people who want to be part of this kind of thing, and I'm putting my number in the chat. So if you want to join that WhatsApp group, send me a WhatsApp, tell me your name, I'll add you to the WhatsApp group. This is a group of people who are committed to develop relationships, but we don't just want to have people stand on stages and talk at us. We want to see their hearts and we want to be connected with them. After today, David, I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just slip my name into that. I want to be part of National Mentorship Movement, but I suspect everybody on this call want to be part of this. So Nkateko, just from your perspective, what happened in your heart when you heard these stories? And then we're going to open the floor and just hear, I know we said we'll end at 5, but maybe we can just hear from a few more people to share with us what struck you when you heard those stories.
For me, it was very heartwarming. I, in fact, wanted our speakers to carry on, but I got a lovely warning from my lovely Dave to say at some point we need to stop. But it's stories that I never want to end. And for me, I'm passionate about women and women in business. I'm very passionate about tourism. Our family is part of the tourism industry. So those stories just make my heart melt. And the fact that a movement like ours was able to make an impact within COVID and drawing people out of that COVID slum, it was difficult for everybody. But having a mentor and having someone betting for you on the side, saying, you know, you can do this, and reminding you of basic things such as a business plan is not something you put in your back cupboard. It's something that's alive, documented. You must always be looking at it. I mean, it's things that you don't think of because you're busy trying to run the business. So I am so excited and was very, very happy when Dave, you know, said, look, we're going to have this session. And as you know, Louise, for me, the work that you and I have been doing, it's just exciting. I think the only way to build South Africa is through these kind of conversations. It's through people that are on the call, helping each other and working together, and more than anything, walking together. So I really do believe in lifting as you rise. That's the name of the game. So thank you so much.
So thank you, Nkateko. So Nkateko just reminded us that what we believe is that we change the world one room and one conversation at a time. And then we say, which one? Well, it's the one I'm in right now. And so I think we were all part of a world-changing conversation this afternoon. My request is, please, could you send me a WhatsApp to that number, because that will just make it much easier for me to set you up. And sorry, Canilwe is saying to Melody and Soraya, she's ready to chat and be connected. I do want to open the floor and just hear from maybe one or two other people who want to say something about what struck you. Obviously, the National Mentorship Movement is there. Dave will put the website again. You can go and look at their website and sign up and get involved. But there's never a better moment than right now to just express your appreciation. We know that we need a ratio of 5-to-1 appreciation to criticism. Be lovely to hear some appreciations being expressed. So just unmute yourself or put your hand up electronically, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts. And don't hold back. So anybody want to share what struck you about being here? Moira, thank you. So I have to say to you that Moira, remind us how old you are?
76.
76, and she is going strong, and she's inspired, and it's inspirational to be, and she's part of the African Leadership Week group of people. So Moira, lovely to hear from you.
It was just so wonderful to be with you all and to hear these stories. And you're so right, we can only do it when we get to know each other and appreciate each other. And it's just really it's so wonderful, especially sitting in Paris and just to have this absolute window on the hearts of people in South Africa, which is my people. Thank you so much.
So Moira is considering returning to South Africa. And it's when you hear stories like this and you go, maybe I should just go back. Be part of it.
Exactly.
For sure. So let's hear. Thank you, Moira. It's lovely to have you with us. Thank you. And Moira, you will see there behind Moira, there's the Pass It On network. At some point, we'll hear more about the Pass It On network, which is so aligned with the goals of the National Mentorship Movement. Let's hear from Carmen. Thanks, Moira. Carmen.
Thank you for inviting me and affording me the opportunity to listen to this very inspirational stories. You know, for me, that stood out as I've been working globally and in the continent for a number of years. And it's always somebody else doing it for us. This, for me, is the most inspiring day to see South Africans come together and starting to hold each other's hands. And this is what we need more and more. Me, I've realized I want to be part of this. I even want to be a mentee because we always learn. We might be experienced in our particular field, but there's other areas that we can grow in. And this affords that opportunity. I'm also very excited to be part of the African Leadership Week because in coming together as South Africans, firstly, and as Africans, because I work with quite a number of Africans, you know, in my own capacity. But this brings us all together. Because sometimes you work on your own and you get stuck. And this is the way we can start helping each other and helping our brothers and sisters across the borders. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. I think that's a beautiful segue, a beautiful end to our conversation. Carmen, we do believe that it's time for Africans to step up, and we are the leaders we've been waiting for, and we do not have to wait for anybody else. And we will together make South Africa a country, an Africa continent for all of us to be very proud of. We have, so as we get older, our decades of being able to do that are getting less, but I've certainly got a few more decades, and Moira's got more decades, and Maurice has got more decades, and Dave and Kateko, and we're all in to work together. And I'm just so thrilled with being part of this conversation. So thank you very much for everybody who showed up, who participated. We are tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be hearing from Outer. And if you haven't been in a conversation with Wayne Divenacher, you will want to be there. And next Monday afternoon, we're going to hear from Zongezo Zibi, who I have pledged my support to as the next president of South Africa. And he's going to be talking about his manifesto for change and the Rivonia Circle, and his team will be there. And there will be many more opportunities over the next coming weeks and months to get to know the hearts and minds of the people in this beautiful community. So thank you so much. And we'll be in touch, and we'll continue to see each other along in these conversations.
Thank you once again. Thanks, Louise.
Thank you very much.
Louise.
Thank you, Louise. Well done.
Thank you so
Very
much.
inspiring. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Mentorship Movements.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Louise, are you recording or am I recording?
It was being recorded, but why is it not showing it's recording? Yeah, it is. I'm ending.
Great. Okay. Louise, thanks again.
We'll send you the link very soon.